Hi everyone, happy Thursday. Thanks so much for jumping on. I'm just gonna make sure people are getting in. Yep, looks good. Awesome, well, thank you so much for joining us. For anyone that I don't know, my name is Heather. I am our Customer Success Manager here at Sendible. And today we are going to be diving into the management of your profiles. So we're gonna look at it more from an admin type perspective and really think about what it means to manage the profiles within your account and walk through some best practices, some tips and tricks around that setup. And so through this session today, we have about 30 minutes planned. I'll spend the first 15 or so minutes walking through what I just mentioned, managing your profiles and really diving into that. And then the second part of the session, we're going to have Costa, who's with our customer support team. He's going to jump on and help answer any questions live that we may have. So throughout the session, while I'm talking, while I'm sharing, feel free to submit your questions into the question box. It's just to the right of the chat box. So right now, I'm just saying in the chat box, everyone. So you'll see in the chat, I just mentioned hi, everyone. To the right of that, you'll see a tab that says questions. You can pop your questions into that tab throughout the session, and then that way at the end, we'll be sure to be able to answer them. If I can ask that you can please keep your questions relevant to managing your profiles. That way we make sure, no matter how many questions there are, we have enough time to cover all of them and help everyone who has something. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. But if you've been joining us recently, you know that we love to start these. Hi, Savannah. You know that we love to start these webinars with an icebreaker just to kind of get the conversation going. So with wonderful 2020 coming to an end, this is actually our last webinar for the year. I thought it would be fun to ask if you plan on having a New Year's resolution for 2021. You don't have to tell me what it is. I'm just curious how many people are planning on having a resolution, or if more people are thinking, no, I just need to get out of 2020 and start fresh in 2021, and that's my resolution. So if you want to participate, are you planning on making a New Year's resolution? Yes or no? Can keep it simple. Pop that into the chat. Let us know. I would say I am at this moment. I usually like to try to make a New Year's resolution. So definitely going to try. But again, it's definitely been an interesting year. So we'll see how that goes. Ooh, I like the annual goals idea, Joanna. That's a smart one. Awesome. Very cool. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen here. And let's just make sure this all works before I jump into it too fast. Awesome. So you can see here, I'm just in my Sendible dashboard. I'm logged in just as myself up here. And as I mentioned, what we're going to talk about today is the management of your profiles. So what does it mean to manage profiles, right? So you're an admin, or maybe you're a team member on your account, or you have admin access on your Sendible account. And there's all these profiles that are being connected in. What are kind of the best ways to manage those? And I think it's really important to understand really the setup of the profiles and what we consider a user to be when they own a profile. So I'm going to walk through that process now. So if I come in here, I'm logged in as me, right, under Heather, and I come under profiles and I click add profiles. Now, any profiles that I connect under my user account, so I come in, I add a Facebook page, connect it in, it's connecting it in under my account. Once it's connected, I'm going to be able to see it under my profiles, just like I can see these three options here, right? So I have this Heather Giletti Facebook page here. It's connected under my account. I connected it. It's showing under my profiles. What that means is it makes me the owner of the profile. When I am the owner, I have full access to editing the settings of the profile. So if I need to make any changes to the profile, if I need to share or transfer the profile to another user, as well as if I need to reconnect the profile. So being the owner really gives you full access to that profile. Now, at times, a profile may be shared with you. So an example of this is a client has access to your Sendible account. They come in and they connect in their Facebook page. They connect it in and they share it with you, which I'll walk through that process in a moment. When they share it with you, what that means is you now have access to the profile for a publishing and reporting and engaging standpoint, but they're still the owner. So they own the profile, they're sharing it with you. And you'll always see those here where it says shared with me. So it's really important to note the difference between being an owner of a profile and just having the profile shared with you. And that difference will help you kind of think about how you want to set up your Sendible plan, or even moving forward if you're looking to reorganize it. Knowing some of these differences can really help with that. So a couple of the things that I mentioned is when you're an owner of a profile, you're able to come in and really manage that profile. So you're able to delete it, right? So here it's under my profiles. I have the option to delete it. I have the option to edit it. So if I need to edit any of the settings within the profile in Sendible, I can go ahead and do so right here. And then I have the option, of course, as well, to share and transfer. And now I have all of these options again because I'm the owner. If I switch in here to shared with me, and I just come in here, you'll see this list of all of these profiles that have been shared with me, but I don't have those options anymore, right? Because I'm not technically the owner, so I'm not able to perform those actions. So it's important to understand the difference with those two. I would say one of the biggest things I come across, or I recommend when I get asked, how should I set it up? Should I be the owner? Should my client be the owner? Should my team member be the owner? Who should be the owner of the profiles? I usually recommend thinking, who do you want to be the manager of the profile? Who do you want to be responsible for making any changes to it? Especially, who do you want to be responsible for the reconnection of the profile? Because the owner user is the user who will always get the reconnection. And I'm going to dive into that a little bit towards the end and really go through reconnection management. So jumping, as I mentioned, I'll come back into reconnections. Jumping into being an owner, I said you have the option to share or transfer a profile. So once you've connected in the profile, and it's showing here under my profiles, if you want to give another user access to this profile, all you're going to do is come in here, click on my profiles, find the profile. You can click on these little three dots and click share. When you click share, all of the users who you have access to are going to show on the left, and you're able to select one, just move them over. And what that's doing is it's going to share the profile with them, right? So it's going to give them access to publishing, reporting, and engaging from like the priority inbox or stream standpoint. If you want to unshare, so if I close out of here, we'll see that this Debbie Diner's Facebook page has been shared with 3 users. If I want to unshare, I can do so. Again, I can click right here where it says 3 users, or I can come in and click share. And if I just want to say, I don't want to share it with Alfie anymore, go ahead and remove him. So anyone that you see on the right is who it's currently shared with. Now, also looking at the other option here, I mentioned transfer. So if I click on here, the 3 dots, share again keeps you the owner, and it allows another user to access the profile for publishing, reporting, and engaging. You also have the option to transfer. Now, if you transfer the profile, what you're doing is you're removing yourself as the owner and you're giving someone else kind of the ownership of it. So it's no longer on your dashboard. So let's say this Debbie Diner's profile I wanted to share with, or I wanted to transfer to this team member of mine that I have here. So what I would do is I would just come in, I would select the user, and I would click transfer. As soon as I transfer this, it's going to pull it out of my dashboard, and it's going to take it over into that other user's dashboard because they're the owner. So I no longer have access to that profile within my dashboard. It can always be shared back with me. So that team member could then go in and share it back with me, but they're now the owner. They're responsible for managing it. So sharing and transferring, those 2 options are different. So just keep that in mind when looking at those. One thing to note with transferring profiles is you're not able to transfer a profile with a user it's already shared with. So if I come in here real quick to this Facebook page and I decide I want to share this with, let's just say Dan. So it's been shared with Dan. Let's say I actually want to transfer it over to Dan now. If I come in and click transfer, when I come in and try to pull up Dan's name, it's not going to pull Dan up. The reason for that is it's already shared with him. You cannot share a profile, or you can't transfer a profile that's already shared with someone. So that's okay. We'll just come in, we'll just unshare with Dan. And then at that point, if we try to transfer it, we would be able to transfer it over to Dan. Awesome. Now thinking about sharing and transferring, there is a little trick for admins. If you have a whole bunch of profiles that you've connected in or that are on a user account and they need to be shared out, there is the option to bulk share. Now this is available for sharing, not for transferring. So again, you're the owner, you want to give someone else access to it. You can bulk share. To do so, you're going to click on your name in the top right. And this is going to be kind of in like your admin area where you would come maybe to manage your users. So you'll see manage users here. And the very first option under manage is profile sharing. Now, when I click on this, what this is going to do is it's going to allow me to share profiles in bulk. So I see who's the owner of the profile. Well, I'm sharing profiles for me, so I would keep my name selected here. Who do I want to share it with? So I can choose who's the user I want to share these with. Say I want to share them with Michael. At that point, I have two boxes down here. Select the profiles to share. So these are the profiles I own, and it's showing any profiles that are already shared with this user. Well, I haven't shared anything with Michael yet. So I could choose to share all of them. So if you have, 50 profiles, this is a great way to share them with the same user. You can just select all, go ahead and move them over. You can individually select as well. So if maybe it's not all of them, but it's 1 or 2 or 5, you could select those and move them over that way. So then over on the right-hand side, it's showing you what's been shared with them. Again, you can always unshare, as I mentioned as well. So this can save a lot of time. If you have a bunch of profiles that you've connected in and you're trying to get them shared out with your team or your clients who are logging in, you can use this bulk share option to do so. Awesome. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk about is reconnections, because that's a huge part of profile management. And I think it goes into play with how you set up your account, thinking about who's connecting them in or who's the owner. So I'm going to actually switch into another dashboard just to show you an example here. So I'm going to come into my colleague Michael's dashboard, and I'm going to come under my profiles. So what I'm doing is I'm still logged in as me. I've just switched into Michael's dashboard, so I'm almost like impersonating him. And I come under my profiles. So at this point, I see the profiles that Michael owns, right? So I'm in his dashboard, I'm seeing the profiles that he's the owner of. Now, the reason I wanted to show you this is I wanted to show you what reconnections look like. I mentioned briefly at the beginning that the owner of the profile is the user who is going to get the reconnection notification. So if a profile becomes disconnected, the owner of the profile will get the notification here in the bell icon, as well as under my profiles, it will show as disconnected. So here's a great example. This is just a Facebook ads account, and it's showing that it needs to be reconnected. It's under my profiles because Michael is the owner. Now this is shared with someone. So if I come in and I look at Dan, if I come over to Dan's profile or Dan's account, this was shared with him, so it's under shared with me. And I look for that Facebook ads account. He has a couple of them, but it's not showing as disconnected, right? Because the notification goes to the owner of the dashboard. So I would say that's one of the most important things to keep in mind when setting it up is how do you want these reconnections to be managed? Who do you want to receive those notifications, and where do you want that list in my profiles to show? Now, of course, as an admin, or if you have team members who have access to other user dashboards, you can always switch into the other user dashboards and manage the reconnections that way. But again, from an organization standpoint, sometimes it helps to keep that in mind, that this is the user account that the profiles are under, a reconnection is going to come here. If you're having your clients log in and connect their profiles and they should be reconnecting, that's great. Have them the owner and then you can be shared the profile. They'll get the reconnection notification and they can reconnect from their dashboard. So if I just come back here into Michael's account and I come back under my profiles, I mentioned you'll get a notification here in the bell icon. You'll also always be able to see the disconnected profiles under my profiles when you're the owner. Under here, you'll see a list. It'll show just like this with the reconnect icon. You also can use this disconnected only option that if you check this, it's going to show any profiles that need to be reconnected. So you just have a list of them and you can reconnect from here. So it can be very helpful to use in that aspect. All right, I think I did it, 15 minutes. I think I hit everything that I wanted to share. And I will ask Costa, it doesn't look like we have any questions yet, but let me stop sharing. I'll ask Costa to go ahead and join us. And if you do have any questions, please send them through. Hi, Costa.
Hello, Heather. Hi. Congratulations for hitting the 15-minute mark.
Thank
Thrilled.
you. It's an accomplishment.
Yes. So yeah, we don't have any questions just yet, but oh wait, hold on. Meredith just came through with the questions. What about profile lists? How are they used? Heather, I don't think there is a deep dive webinar specific to profile lists, so that's actually a good
There
question.
is. We actually did
Oh,
one. Let me just make sure here and I'll get the link.
okay. Um, so yeah, send Meredith the link to that deep dive. We have a deep dive which pretty much it goes through everything for profile lists. So anything you need, trust me, you're going to find it there.
Yeah,
I'll share my screen now.
sure. We dive into specifically focusing on profile lists, and we spend like 30 minutes going into it. So it's a really good session. Meredith, I'll send it over to you now.
Okay. Screen. Yeah, not many questions, but there are a few things that I'd like to cover. The first thing that I wanted to point out, as Heather very correctly pointed out, you can share and transfer profiles from one user to another, and you can pretty much set yourself up any way you want to be set up. Now, one thing that we do get questions about, and it's worth mentioning on this deep dive, because if you don't know the answer and you come to that point, you're going to have a little bit of a stall until you contact support for clarification, and we get back to you with how it works. So if you have a profile and you've scheduled like a slew of posts for it, and then you transfer that profile to somebody else, what happens to the scheduled posts? Are they going to bounce? Are they going to go out normally? So here's what. I've already scheduled a post to my profile named test page en and fr, and I own that profile. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to my profiles and en and fr. Here it is. So I'm going to click on the three dots like Heather showed us. Transfer. I'm going to transfer it to somebody else. I'm going to transfer to Damien. Transfer. So now that is gone. It was right over here. Now I only have FR. If I check out the compose box, see where it is. Yep, it's gone from here too. So it's gone. I've transferred it. Let's check out the scheduled post. What does that look like? See, there's one scheduled post, and it still has the profile selected. So that's a good thing. If you schedule your post and then you transfer the profile, that's great. The posts which have already been scheduled, they're still connected to that profile. So they're still going to go out. The only thing you can't do now is create new posts. You're going to have to ask the person who you transferred the profile over to share it with you so that it shows up in the compose box, and you can start creating posts for that profile again. So Kelvin is asking, you missed it. What is the difference between sharing and transferring a profile? Very good point. So let's go to my profiles. So when you share a profile, a couple of things happen. So I am the admin of my account, and I've added a Facebook page to my Sendible account as a profile. So I can share that with anyone in my team who I want to have access to that profile. So say I have a team of 5 team members, and I want to have access to that Facebook page, and I want my team member Damien to have access to that Facebook page as well. So I can add the profile once to my dashboard, and Damien, he doesn't have to add it anew. I can just share it with him. I can share it with everyone, to tell you the truth. That way, I can add one Facebook page profile once, and everyone can have access to it. And that would save me an extra 4 profiles because they don't have to add it. And if I only have a 48 profile allowance on my plan, I don't have to add it 5 times. I just have to add it once and share it with everyone. So save some space. Um, Also, that means because I'm the owner of the profile and I'm sharing it with everyone, if it needs to be reconnected, I'm the person who's going to get the notification. I'm going to be the person who receives the email saying, this profile has just become disconnected because of, for whatever reason, I just changed the password on my Facebook profile. That ought to do it. Please click here to reconnect that Facebook profile. I'm the owner. I'm going to receive that email, and I'm the person who can fix it. So when you're transferring a profile, it basically you're just taking it from your account, giving it to somebody else, so they can share it with everyone. They'll start receiving the email notifications, and they can just basically keep an eye out. Pretty much it. Um, why do things get disconnected? This is my first training session. So Penelope, that's actually a good question. Facebook profiles, they can get disconnected, or profiles in general, they can get disconnected for a slew of reasons. The most common reasons I can tell you are an outage on the social site side. So Facebook and Instagram, they just had a major outage. That could cause your profiles to get disconnected. Depends on the severity of the outage. It doesn't happen very often, but it happens. If you change the password to your profile, so if I add 50 pages to my Sendible account, and then I change my my Facebook profile login details, like if I change my password or if I change my email, the connection is severed by Facebook because they see that, oh wait, we established a connection with Sendible for these pages, but the password has changed since then. So this connection is broken until the owner of this Facebook profile can reestablish a connection. Thus, they can just make sure that you're aware of the connection, and you do indeed want to have that connection with Sendible. So that's another reason it might get disconnected. Um, Sometimes the connection, it just expires. They're not meant to last indefinitely. Sometimes you have to reconnect them um, every 2 months, every 3 months, um, sometimes every year. I mean, disconnections aren't that common. If you're experiencing um, constant disconnections, we might need to take a look at your social account. There might be an issue there. But yeah, it's just various little things like that which might cause a disconnection to happen. Why are you sharing and transferring profiles? Is a profile a client's account on a certain platform? Yes, it is. So yeah, basically a profile, if I go to, once you log into your Sendible account and go to profiles on the top, click on add profiles. So this is where you can see all the profiles that you can add. Now at this point, it's worth mentioning a profile is what our veteran Sendible users will remember used to be called a service. It's essentially just a connection that you've created on your Sendible account for a specific social site. So if I have 50 Facebook pages and I add them to my Sendible account, each one is going to be referred to as a profile. Heather, you wanted to cut in?
No,
Oh,
sorry, I was typing.
okay, sorry. So each one is going to be referred to as a profile. This has nothing to do with if it's a Facebook profile, a Twitter profile, an Instagram profile. Those you can refer to them that way outside of Sendible. In Sendible, a profile is what you see over here in the compose box when you go to compose a message. So it says select a profile, basically saying where do you want to send your post out, which Facebook group, which Facebook page. We had to come up with a term so that we can refer to all those as one, like which profile are you referring to. So we thought profile is the one that most users preferred. We used to call it services. people preferred, we called it profiles, so we renamed it to profiles at our user's request. So that is pretty much what a profile is. My pleasure, Penelope. So that is those are the questions that we've received up to now. We still have a little bit of time, so I'll mention a couple of other things which are good to know as well, since we're discussing profiles, and just until more questions come in. So when you share a profile, or if you want to have access to a profile and give somebody else different type of access, you'll see what I mean. You can do so the profile second time. So here, when you go to add a Facebook page, this is just an example. Give me just a moment because it's going to redirect me to Facebook, and then I have to come back to Sendible. There we go. Okay, so now it's taking us back to Sendible. Okay, so once we're redirected back to Sendible, this is when you're adding a Facebook page as a profile to Sendible, this is what everyone sees. Which select a page to manage, which page do you want to add to Sendible? I'm going to select anyone, doesn't matter. So say, actually, AC company page. So the last option you see at the bottom right here, where it says receive alerts for new activity. It's got a few options. It's got priority inbox only, priority inbox and email only, and none. So what this means is if you post something to this Facebook page and somebody leaves a comment on that page, on your post on that page, within the first 4 days, that will come through to the priority inbox. Now, that's a good thing to have so that you can engage with the users who are leaving comments on your posts. Now, say, for example, I want to be able to do that, but I don't want Damien, my colleague, to do that. I don't want him to be able to engage with people. You can add this this profile once, having selected the receive alerts for new activity priority inbox only option, so save settings, and you can also add it a second time and leave this blank. So the person you share this with will not receive any email notifications. They won't receive any priority inbox comments for anything. So that way they'll only be able to generate reports and publish posts to this page. That's a good thing to know. I mean, we just had users asking us about this, so I thought it might be interesting to mention.
Definitely.
And also, don't forget, so just so that you can tell the two apart, once you select the page in the drop-down list, you can rename it after you selected the page. So that, 2. And save settings. And that's going to be visible in the compose box as Bishop Tester 2. That, and one last thing I wanted to mention. How much time do we have, by the way?
You got a minute. You can do it.
Okay, I can do it. So if you want to add a profile for a client, and the client is a little bit iffy about sharing their login details or their passwords with you, that's okay. You don't need their login details in order to add their profile to Sendible. You can also set up Client Connect. So Client Connect is, Heather has done an excellent deep dive into this very recently too. So it's worth looking into on our support pages, on our help desk. Go to deep dive and search for Client Connect. She walks you through everything. Client Connect basically allows you to add a little bit of code to your website so that you can redirect your clients there and say, add your login details there. You don't have to share them with me. And that way they add their profile to your Sendible account without ever accessing it. Saves a lot of people a lot of time and save you a lot of grief. And wins the trust of your clients a lot of the time too. So that's pretty much it, guys. I think we wrapped it up in 30 minutes.
Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and set the link in the chat of where all of these, the previous sessions are held. So the link that I'm about to send, you can go to and you can access any of the sessions that we've done throughout 2020. It has the recording. We try to break them up into chapters. So if you're looking for something specific, you can find it. So let me just get this out real quick. I just mentioned Client Connect one is in that list as well. If you go to the profile section, you'll see Client Connect, as Costa mentioned. So that's a great session to look back to. So as I mentioned, this is our last session for 2020. So we just want to say happy holidays to everyone. Thank you guys for continuing to join these and sharing feedback. It's something new that we started this year, and we will absolutely continue through 2021 as we've gotten some great engagement and feedback from you guys. So wishing everyone the best for the rest of the year, and we'll see you guys in 2021.
Have a good one, everyone.
Bye, everyone.